I want to start by thanking the Muslim Jewish Forum, all those, and I'll into that, take it easy. And the center itself, Multi-Faith Center, and many people actually who have contributed to pull us all together. Remember this. My journey with this whole issue goes back from almost day one when the Yugoslavia was disintegrating and how communities turned on each other. I remember being engaged in organizing demonstrations here in Memphis. I remember the first time when a number of coaches came with some of the Bosnians and some Croats to Manchester. I've been involved with helping them settle down, finding houses, doctors, schools, all the basics that me and you all need. And in this journey, there's been ups and downs, some painful experiences, some really moving emotional experiences too. I still remember when these families came and how the men folks were separated, and some of them then came after some gaps. And one of them, a young man, they were engaged with a woman, she was here, and being engaged and helping them get married. And they virtually had nothing. The community chipping in, and having such a wonderful marriage like that. And then from that union, we have children. The children have grown up here as well. Some of them are going to university. So these are wonderful memories. Themselves developing into a community, having a Bosnian school, seeing those children performing and learning some of their own basic cultures. So it's been some great examples. Whenever these atrocities happen, there are also many great stories. You see the humanity of many people as well coming out. So they always go hand in hand. And one of the moving experiences that I have is learning that in the Second World War, how this genocide happened against the Jewish community. And then we said, never again. And then we see that these sort of things happen again and again. But I also remember there are many Bosnian Muslims who actually saved many of the Jewish people. And there are well-documented stuff which is available. What was also moving to learn that equally some of the next generation from the Jewish community then also saved some of those Bosnians. And that record is also available. How these things sort of go around as well. And you learn these things. The lesson ultimately for me is how come a Yugoslavia, which was successful, a prosperous place, how quickly it disintegrated actually. How neighbors turned against the neighbors. How neighbors killed neighbors. How neighbors raped neighbors. In such a short time. This can happen. And you see this, you feel it, people are still suffering. I remember going there when they were celebrating the 20th years. And still finding 50 bodies. They're getting DNAs from the families to recognize. And then to give them 20 years later the value. That pain. The widows, the organization going around, sharing those experiences. A single woman, Manira, runs this national organization. Something like 27 people from her family. And you wonder, when that sort of loss happens, where do these individuals get the will to live? That also shows the strength of the human body and the people, how we are as well. That, she's still there, she's got so much energy. Amazing woman after such a huge loss. She's going all over the world, sharing this experience so that we do not have to go through this again. She came to the European Parliament as well. She's been here to England as well. She's going up and down the countries, sharing this. we have to do, and that's why they say that for the evil to prevail, all that needs to happen is the good people not to do anything. And we're seeing actually, at least here in Manchester, this recognition is being there. This is our third event today that is happening to remember this in different ways. That's part of that contribution. It's part of that contribution in the Manchester City Council. They had the minute silence. Again, 2 years previously, our former Lord Mayor named Hassan and Siddiqui, they moved a motion to recognize this. Similar things happen nationally. Similarly, it's happened in the European Parliament. So we're doing our bit to make sure that does not happen. And the key point ultimately, I think, for us to understand is also this hate idea. Whenever this is not checked, the end journey of hate is always with this genocide. That's where it stops. And that's why we have a duty to challenge hate wherever it comes from, whenever it comes, that we stop it. And we need to stand up to it. And we need to reach out to one another. And it's by reaching out that you learn. You heard in the introduction, Heather gave, that late Henry Witterman and myself, we started the Muslim Jewish Forum, Greater Manchester Muslim Jewish Forum. I've learned so much through having that organization, through having those events, that I can say that actually by being part of it, I can see how close the Muslim and Jews are. But if you don't know, if you don't reach out, you don't know the difference. That even the small differences can seem so big. And you somehow forget the huge area which is the common between us as humans. It doesn't matter, what your faith may be. Ultimately, the commonality that we have is much bigger than any differences that we have. And for us to recognize that, that means we have to take steps towards one another. And that's why I'm also proud to be part of being Mancunian here. That's a great place. This place here, so many different faiths. There are at least 26 faith groups moving towards one another. The interfaith work that goes on here. And Rabnawaz was there as well. An amazing program this afternoon in the Manchester Town Hall. All the different faiths pulling together. People talk about faith as being something negative. I tell you, that is not the case. Faith always is positive. It's when it's abused, it becomes negative. And it's the abuse we have to challenge, wherever it comes from. Because we are all actually capable of that. And that's why in Islam, we have this basic idea that actually as humans, we are unique, we are special creation of God. And what makes us special is that we are the best of creation. And that also means that we have the capacity to be better than angel. As humans, we have the capacity to be better than an angel. But as a human, we also have the capacity to be bad. To be bad, worse than animal. So that huge spectrum that exists for us. And again, we need to be working together. And I'll finish with this Turkish philosophy idea, which I find amazing, fascinating. And this Turkish philosopher says this, that humans, by nature, are actually good. While we have this capacity to move around this huge spectrum, but actually by nature we are born good. And never in the history of humanity, bad people have been in majority. This is what he says. Never in the history of humanity, bad people have been in majority, and those who are bad have never been bad majority of the time. So goodness actually is a lot more, and that's what I think is the key message. From here as well, why we should never forget is really reaching out, taking that step towards one another. If we do that, we will have a better world. Thank you again for organizing this great event.